South Florida didn't stumble into a housing crisis. It walked straight into a disaster everyone thought was impossible. For decades, this region sold a dream: sunshine, beaches, booming skylines, and the promise that if you worked hard, you could build a life here. But as we head into 2026, that dream has disappeared. Families across Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County are waking up to a brutal reality. A full-time job no longer guarantees a home. Insurance companies are abandoning entire zip codes. Premiums that were $4,000 a few years ago now hit $18,000, $22,000, even $28,000 a year. HOA fees are doubling overnight. Special assessments are wiping out life savings. And the worst part? Home values are falling while costs explode. Teachers, nurses, police officers, the backbone of South Florida, now spend 60%, 70%, even 90% of their income just to stay alive in homes that are losing value every month. People aren't just frustrated, they're terrified. They're packing U-Hauls at midnight, abandoning condos they once dreamed of retiring in, walking away from mortgages, and leaving behind the state they thought would be their forever home. This is not a correction. This is a system failure, fast, violent, and spreading across every income level. And today, we're counting down 10 South Florida cities where the collapse is hitting hardest. Places where families aren't just struggling, they're escaping. Let's begin with our first warning sign. The city that proved the middle class was the first to fall. Number 10, Boynton Beach. Boynton Beach promoted itself as Palm Beach County's affordable coastal gateway. Neighborhoods where families priced out of Delray Beach could still access the shoreline without paying luxury premiums. But behind the beach access and working-class communities, the reality closing out 2025 shows rapid middle-class erosion. Housing expenses are rising faster here than anywhere in southern Palm Beach County, while property values flatten or slip. The financial squeeze is already pushing longtime residents out before 2026 even begins. Recent analysis exposes the crisis with stark clarity. Median home prices approach $425,000, typically requiring $170,000 annual household income based on standard lending criteria. Yet Boynton Beach's median household income sits at approximately $56,200. That 202% disconnect creates mathematical impossibility for working families attempting homeownership. A Boynton Beach firefighter earning $58,000 annually purchased his $395,000 home in 2022, believing he'd secured middle-class stability. The reality, heading into 2026, shatters that belief. His home now values around $368,000. He's approximately $27,000 in negative equity. Insurance surged from $3,600 annually to roughly $12,400, $1,033 monthly. Property taxes increased to approximately $527 monthly. Combined with his $2,180 mortgage and $365 utilities, he's paying around $4,105 monthly, approximately 85% of gross income consumed by a home worth less than he owes, while his firefighter salary protecting Boynton Beach can't cover basic survival expenses. The inventory surge shows families understand they must sell, even at a loss. Days on market climbed from 22 in 2021 to 82 by late 2025, with early 2026 expectations pointing even higher. Homes listed around $412,000 often fall toward $378,000 within months, an 8 to 10% drop just to spark interest. When nearly one-third of listings show price cuts and inventory is up nearly 50% year over year, this isn't a normal correction. It's the early stages of housing failure. Families aren't waiting for 2026. They're already leaving because staying guarantees deeper financial damage. Boynton Beach's middle-class erosion exposes what happens when traditionally affordable cities experience cost acceleration faster than wage adjustment can possibly match, and working families are choosing departure over financial ruin. If this working-class struggle feels severe, our ninth city reveals luxury markets aren't immune to similar pressures. Number 9. Delray Beach. Delray Beach cultivated a sophisticated coastal identity. Atlantic Avenue's upscale dining attracted affluent retirees who believed they'd found the perfect blend of culture and coastal living. But heading into 2026, the trajectory shows a luxury market correction accelerating as wealthy buyers begin to realize that Delray's premium price tags no longer justify the soaring cost of ownership. With comparable cities offering similar lifestyles at far more rational economics, high-end buyers are becoming far more selective, and Delray Beach is feeling the shift. Recent luxury market trends expose the correction with concerning velocity. Properties that sold for $1.2 to $1.8 million during 2021 to 2022 now struggle to attract offers above $980,000 to $1.4 million. Losses ranging from $220,000 to $400,000. But price declines mask deeper issues. The fundamental problem comes from buyers calculating total ownership. Approximately $16,800 annual insurance, $14,400 property taxes, $1,240 monthly HOA fees, $485 monthly utilities totaling around $105,000 annually in carrying costs alone. A couple earning $240,000 annually considers a $1.3 million home. Total monthly expenses approach $9,840. That's roughly 49% of gross income consumed by housing. Meanwhile, comparable Charleston homes require approximately $6,200 monthly. Sophisticated buyers recognize Delray Beach extracts roughly $43,000 annually in premium costs for lifestyles available elsewhere at more reasonable rates, and they're choosing rational markets instead. The retiree departure accelerates as wealthy snowbirds who maintained winter homes for decades calculate seasonal occupancy no longer justifies surging expenses. A couple spending December through March in Delray pays approximately $105,000 annually for 4 months, roughly $26,000 monthly when amortized over actual use. Market timing reveals luxury buyers exercising patience while sellers grow increasingly desperate. Properties that sold in 14 days during 2021 to 2022 now sit for 90 to 140 plus days. A $1.4 million home sits 4 months without offers. The seller finally accepts $1.14 million after 150 plus days, reductions approaching 19% that eliminate years of appreciation gains. Delray Beach's luxury correction demonstrates that even affluent markets face housing failure when total ownership expenses rise beyond what sophisticated buyers will tolerate regardless of wealth level. That luxury correction intensifies in our 8th city. Number 8. Deerfield Beach. Deerfield Beach occupied a middle ground between Fort Lauderdale's energy and Boca Raton's luxury, a beachfront community where moderately priced homes promised coastal access without the premium price tags. But heading into 2026, projections show beachfront affordability rapidly disintegrating as insurance expenses on coastal properties climb to levels that make beach living increasingly unaffordable, regardless of the home's purchase price. Recent insurance market analysis exposes the beachfront crisis with troubling specificity. Properties east of Federal Highway face combined homeowners and flood insurance averaging $19,000 to $27,000 annually, with oceanfront homes often quoted $28,000 to $36,000 or denied coverage outright. A family who purchased a modest $465,000 beachfront home discovers insurance alone approaches $24,000 annually, roughly $2,000 monthly just for mandatory coverage before mortgage, taxes, utilities, or HOA fees. A middle-class family earning $88,000 combined purchased their beachfront home in 2021 for $458,000, believing they had secured a sustainable slice of coastal living. But as 2025 closes and new cost realities take hold, affordability has collapsed. Their home now values around $422,000, approximately $36,000 in negative equity. Insurance has surged to roughly $24,000 annually, $2,017 monthly. Property taxes total about $623 monthly. Their mortgage sits at $2,540 monthly. Altogether, they are paying around $5,565 each month, roughly 76% of their gross income, on a home losing value, while insurance costs alone now exceed what their entire housing budget used to be. The beachfront departure accelerates as families recognize they're paying premium insurance for properties losing value. Days on market for beachfront properties average 115 to 120 days. A beachfront home listed at $485,000 drops to $432,000, finally accepting $415,000 after 125 plus days. Reductions approaching 14 to 15%, representing complete seller capitulation. The foreclosure trend compounds the crisis as owners trapped between unaffordable insurance and difficult-to-sell properties increasingly choose strategic default. Banks often price foreclosed beachfront homes 25 to 35% below recent comparable sales, accelerating value declines throughout coastal neighborhoods. Deerfield Beach's beachfront affordability breakdown exposes that coastal proximity, once South Florida's premium amenity, has transformed into financial burden as insurance makes beach living unaffordable at prices middle-class families can access. That beachfront insurance challenge becomes even more pronounced in our seventh city. Number 7. Boca Raton. Boca Raton marketed itself as South Florida's sophisticated refuge, luxury without Miami's chaos, beaches without Fort Lauderdale's noise, and a lifestyle built on country club stability. But behind the manicured golf courses and polished beachfront towers, late 2025 data shows a crisis wealth alone can't shield. The luxury condo market is under mounting strain as post-Surfside safety mandates, spiraling insurance premiums, and heavy special assessments collide. What was supposed to be the safest retirement investment in Palm Beach County is now becoming one of its most financially unstable. Recent market analysis exposes the luxury condo challenge with troubling clarity. Beachfront condos that sold for $850,000 to $1.2 million in 2022 now struggle to attract offers above $680,000 to $920,000, losses ranging from $170,000 to $280,000, eliminating down payments plus years of appreciation. But price declines represent just the visible problem. Buildings constructed in the 1980s to 1990s, representing majority of Boca's luxury stock, now require structural inspections, concrete repairs, and fully funded reserves under post-Surfside mandates. A 200-unit tower on A1A that paid $680,000 annually for building insurance in 2021 now faces renewal quotes approaching $2.4 million or coverage denial. Those expenses pass directly to residents through special assessments and surging HOA fees, transforming retirement security into monthly financial stress. A retiree couple purchased their beachfront condo in 2019 for $780,000. As 2025 ends and they head into 2026, they are facing multiple pressures that are rapidly eroding their financial stability. Their condo now values around $695,000, about $85,000 in lost equity. Building insurance challenges have triggered a special assessment ranging from $50,000 to $70,000 per unit, due over 18 months, roughly $3,000 to $4,000 per month. HOA fees have jumped from $820 to $1,680 monthly. Property taxes sit at approximately $700 per month. Combined with utilities, they are now paying around $6,000 to $6,500 each month to maintain a paid-off condo that is declining in value while facing assessment obligations they are struggling to meet. The retiree departure accelerates through luxury towers as families on fixed incomes discover they can't afford homes they own outright. A retired executive on $6,800 monthly pension faces approximately $6,200 in monthly condo expenses plus assessment obligations, spending over 90% of fixed income maintaining housing before food or healthcare. Foreclosure trends show condo owners who can't meet assessments, can't afford surging fees, and can't sell without substantial losses, increasingly choosing strategic default. When 8 to 12% of units enter foreclosure simultaneously, remaining owners absorb even higher expenses, accelerating the downward spiral. Boca Raton reveals that luxury and wealth can't fully protect against systemic housing challenges when insurance markets tighten and maintenance expenses exceed many owners' ability to meet obligations. But if luxury challenges feel severe, middle-class pressures hitting our sixth city expose identical expense surges on modest incomes. Number 6. Pompano Beach. Pompano Beach marketed itself as South Florida's accessible alternative, where middle-class families could enjoy beach proximity without Boca Raton price tags or Fort Lauderdale intensity. But behind the fishing pier and revitalized downtown, Pompano Beach is now heading into 2026 with mounting financial strain, as middle-class homeownership comes under severe pressure from expenses rising faster than anywhere in Broward County, while property values stagnate or begin to slip. What middle-class families confront destroys the affordability promise. Median home prices approach $485,000, typically requiring approximately $194,000 annual household income based on standard lending criteria. Yet Pompano Beach's median household income barely reaches $58,400. The disconnect creates mathematical impossibility for working families. Insurance market challenges hit Pompano Beach with particular intensity because of coastal proximity combined with aging housing stock. Homes built in the 1960s to 1980s, representing majority of Pompano's affordable inventory, face insurance premiums that increased dramatically since 2020. A family paying $3,200 annually for insurance in 2020 now often faces renewal quotes of $11,000 to $15,000, with some properties quoted above $18,000 or denied coverage. For households earning Pompano's median income around $58,000, insurance alone now consumes 20 to 25% of gross income before mortgage, taxes, utilities, or any other expenses. A Pompano Beach police officer earning $62,000 annually purchased his $420,000 home in 2021, believing he had secured long-term stability. But by late 2025, that stability is collapsing. His home now values around $398,000, putting him roughly $22,000 underwater. Insurance that once cost $3,400 annually has surged to about $13,200, $1,100 monthly. Property taxes have climbed to approximately $560 monthly. His mortgage remains $2,280, and with utilities, his total housing costs reach about $4,325 every month. Roughly 84% of his gross income consumed by a home losing value, while his police salary protecting Pompano Beach can no longer sustain basic living expenses. The essential worker housing challenge accelerates pressure because the city depends on teachers, nurses, police, firefighters, municipal workers earning $45,000 to $65,000. Yet those salaries can't sustain Pompano's surging expenses. A teacher earning $52,000 annually who owns a modest home now spends approximately 76% of gross income on housing alone. She's skipping meals to afford insurance, using credit cards for groceries, accumulating debt she struggles to repay. Inventory trends compound the challenge as families recognize they must sell despite losses. Days on market climbed from 18 days to 74 days. Properties listed at $445,000 often drop to $395,000. Reductions approaching 11 to 12% just to generate offers. Pompano Beach's middle-class housing challenge exposes the fundamental problem. Essential workers earning median wages can't afford median home expenses, and housing is failing families who serve communities. That middle-class pressure intensifies dramatically in our fifth city. Number 5. Hollywood. Hollywood stretched along the Atlantic coastline, promising beach town charm with urban convenience. The Broadwalk, Art Deco buildings, and neighborhoods where families believed coastal living meant accessible paradise. But behind the postcard scenery and downtown revival, Hollywood's late 2025 reality exposes beachfront insurance challenges so severe that coastal homeownership has shifted from premium lifestyle to overwhelming financial burden. In many neighborhoods, insurance expenses alone now exceed what families once budgeted for their entire housing costs, transforming what was supposed to be attainable coastal living into one of the most punishing financial environments in Broward County. Insurance market trends hitting Hollywood Hollywood beachfront properties expose expense levels that defy traditional affordability models. Properties within coastal flood zones, essentially everything east of Federal Highway, face combined homeowners and flood insurance averaging $20,000 to $28,000 annually, with oceanfront homes often quoted $30,000 to $40,000 plus or denied coverage. A Hollywood family purchased their beachside home in 2020 for $680,000. The late 2025 reality fundamentally alters that investment. Their home now values around $595,000, approximately $85,000 in lost equity while expenses surged. Combined homeowners and flood insurance reached roughly $26,000 annually, $2,167 monthly. Property taxes total approximately $850 monthly. Mortgage sits at $3,100 monthly. HOA fees approach $480 monthly. They're paying around $7,000 monthly for a home that declined roughly $85,000 in value, and their $142,000 household income means spending approximately 60% of gross income just on housing while equity erodes. Insurance market contraction accelerates the challenge as major carriers reduce Florida exposure, and remaining insurers either deny coastal coverage or quote premiums that make ownership increasingly difficult. A beachfront homeowner receives renewal from Citizens Property Insurance approaching $28,000 annually, with roughly $48,000 hurricane deductible. They're paying over $2,300 monthly for insurance that may not fully cover replacement cost and requires absorbing substantial hurricane damage expenses out of pocket. The forced sale trend compounds the challenge as families recognize they can't sustain insurance expenses exceeding their ability to pay. They list homes hoping to depart before next renewal, but discover buyers aren't willing to purchase properties with $25,000 plus annual insurance either. A beachfront home listed at $620,000 sits for 120 plus days without offers because potential buyers calculate similar impossible mathematics. Foreclosure trends show Hollywood beachfront properties entering default at increasing rates as owners choose strategic default over continued financial drain. Hollywood's beachfront challenge exposes that coastal homeownership has transformed from wealth-building asset to financial burden that erodes family savings. And families are departing because staying means watching savings diminish monthly. But Hollywood's coastal insurance challenge represents just one dimension. Our fourth city became the focal point for insurance market challenges affecting all of Broward County. Number 4, Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale sold the dream of effortless coastal luxury, yachts drifting through its canals, sunsets along Las Olas, and neighborhoods where professionals felt they'd finally made it. But in late 2025, the city sits at the center of a crisis no postcard ever shows. Fort Lauderdale now leads South Florida in private insurance losses, forcing thousands of homeowners onto costly state-backed policies and exposing just how fragile the city's housing stability has become. Insurance market data exposes Fort Lauderdale's challenge with troubling specificity. Over 38,000 Fort Lauderdale homeowners, roughly 31% of all residential properties, have lost private insurance coverage since 2022, forced onto Citizens Property Insurance at premiums often 140 to 280% higher than they previously paid. A homeowner paying $4,200 annually with a private carrier in 2021 now often faces Citizens premiums of $11,000 to $15,000. What families confront entering 2026 undermines any remaining assumption that insurance represents manageable expense. A family earning Fort Lauderdale's median household income around $65,000, who owns a modest $465,000 home, now often faces insurance premiums approaching $13,000 to $14,000 annually, roughly 20 to 21% of gross income consumed by insurance alone, before mortgage payments, property taxes, HOA fees, utilities, or any other expenses. Consider the financial pressure on a Fort Lauderdale nurse earning $72,000 annually who purchased her $485,000 home in 2022. The late 2025 reality reveals challenging mathematics. Her home now values around $438,000, approximately $47,000 in negative equity. Her insurance carrier dropped her in 2024, forcing her onto citizens at roughly $14,000 annually, $1,167 monthly. Property taxes approach $647 monthly. HOA fees jumped from $385 to $680 monthly. Mortgage sits at $2,640 monthly. She's paying around $5,500 monthly for housing, approximately 92% of gross income consumed by a home worth significantly less than she owes. Waterfront property challenges compound the crisis because the city's identity centers on canal and river living. Roughly 60% of Fort Lauderdale homes sit on or near waterways. These properties face combined flood and homeowners insurance, often totaling $18,000 to $32,000 annually, with intracoastal properties sometimes approaching $38,000 to $45,000. A family who purchased modest canal-front home for $625,000 in 2021 now often faces approximately $27,000 annual insurance, while their home value's around $565,000. The late 2025 migration trends accelerate as families trapped between unaffordable insurance and difficult-to-sell properties recognize they must depart regardless of losses. Fort Lauderdale experienced population decline exceeding 11,000 residents in 2024 to 2025, and projections suggest that departure trend accelerating. A couple earning $165,000 combined lists their $720,000 home at $665,000, accepting substantial losses totaling roughly $90,000 to $95,000 just to relocate to North Carolina, where comparable homes require approximately $2,400 annual insurance instead of $15,000 to $16,000. Fort Lauderdale's transformation from premier coastal city to insurance market challenge focal point exposes the velocity at which insurance market contraction can fundamentally alter entire housing markets. If Fort Lauderdale represents the insurance challenge focal point, our third city reveals what happens when worker displacement combines with expense surges. Number 3. West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach reinvented itself as South Florida's emerging business center. Downtown revitalization attracted finance and tech companies. Clematis Street's nightlife rivaled Miami's energy, and neighborhoods promised affordable proximity to Palm Beach luxury. But behind that growth narrative, the reality in late 2025 shows a city experiencing severe worker displacement. Housing expenses have risen so sharply that essential workers and middle-class families, the very people who power West Palm Beach's economy, can no longer afford to live anywhere within reasonable commuting distance of their jobs. Housing market analysis exposes worker displacement with troubling mathematical certainty. Median home prices approach $565,000, typically requiring approximately $200,000 to $225,000 annual household income based on standard lending criteria. Yet West Palm Beach's economy depends substantially on workers earning $38,000 to $68,000 annually, teachers earning $54,000, nurses making $68,000, police officers at $62,000. These professions power the economy, yet face substantial affordability challenges. Picture the challenging mathematics for a public school teacher earning $54,000 annually attempting to find housing near her school. Rental studios in West Palm Beach typically require approximately $72,000 annual income minimum for approval. She's priced out of even basic apartments. Single-family homes often require $200,000 to $225,000 plus household income. She's forced to commute from Lake Worth or Boynton Beach, 45 to 60 minutes each way, spending roughly $480 monthly on gas while losing 10 to 12 hours weekly to traffic just to reach a teaching position, serving West Palm Beach children whose families can afford housing she cannot access. Service economy challenges accelerate as restaurants, hotels, retail stores, and service businesses discover they struggle to staff operations because workers can't afford to live near employment. A Clematis Street restaurant requiring 15 employees discovers that workers earning $32,000 to $42,000 cannot afford West Palm Beach housing. They commute from Lake Worth, Riviera Beach, or Delray Beach, losing 90 to 120 minutes daily to commuting for positions that barely cover gas, vehicle maintenance, and insurance required to reach work. Healthcare worker challenges compound the dysfunction as hospitals struggle to retain nurses, medical assistants, and support staff who can't afford local housing. A St. Mary's Medical Center nurse earning $68,000 annually discovers studio apartments typically require approximately $78,000 annual income minimum for approval. She's priced out of living near the hospital, forced into Lake Worth efficiency with a roommate, commuting 52 minutes each way while spending roughly $420 monthly on gas. Her nursing income can't afford West Palm Beach housing, and she's considering positions in Savannah and Charleston, where $68,000 salaries actually support middle-class living. West Palm Beach's worker displacement exposes fundamental economic dysfunction. Cities cannot function sustainably when workers they depend on cannot afford to live there, and families are departing because serving the city requires commutes, making life financially and temporally unsustainable. But West Palm Beach's economic dysfunction pales compared to our second city. Number 2. Miami Beach. Miami Beach built its identity as America's destination playground. Art Deco architecture, South Beach energy, and Ocean Drive glamour pulling visitors from around the world. But behind the nightclub marquees and beachfront hotels, the reality in late 2025 shows a tourism economy under severe strain. The workers who keep Miami Beach running, servers, hotel staff, bartenders, retail employees, can no longer afford to live anywhere near the city, creating service industry shortages and ongoing operational challenges across the entire beachfront economy. Employment market analysis exposes service economy dysfunction with concerning clarity. Miami Beach tourism and hospitality employs roughly 42,000 workers, hotel staff, restaurant servers, bartenders, retail employees, at median wages around $32,000 to $44,000 annually. Yet Miami Beach housing typically requires $170,000 to $190,000 plus annual household income for ownership, and $90,000 to $100,000 plus for basic rental studios. Service workers cannot afford Miami Beach housing, creating substantial economic segregation where the city's entire tourism infrastructure depends on workers commuting from Homestead, Hialeah, or West Kendall, often 50 to 90-minute commutes each way. Picture the challenging economics for a South Beach restaurant server earning $36,000 annually, including tips. She lives in homestead efficiency with 2 roommates, commuting 48 miles each way via public transit, requiring 105 minutes per direction. She departs at 7:15 a.m. for 10 a.m. shift, returns home at 11:45 p.m. after 9 p.m. end time, losing roughly 17 to 18 hours weekly, just commuting to reach a serving position that nets approximately $2,460 monthly after taxes. Her commute expenses approach $280 monthly. She's spending roughly 11 to 12% of net income just reaching a position that pays wages, making it impossible she'll ever afford to live near where she works. Hotel staffing challenges accelerate as properties struggle to maintain service standards when housekeepers, front desk staff, maintenance workers, and food service employees increasingly resign because commuting expenses and time exceed the economic value of wages. A Collins Avenue hotel requiring 80 employees for full operations maintains approximately 62 positions filled. Roughly 18 positions stay persistently vacant despite continuous recruiting. Restaurant operational challenges compound service economy difficulties as Ocean Drive, Lincoln Road, and Collins Avenue establishments discover they struggle to staff kitchens or dining rooms during peak tourist periods. A Lincoln Road restaurant requiring 12 employees maintains approximately 9 positions filled during high season and 6 during summer as workers resign for positions closer to where they live. Restaurants reduce hours, limit menu options, and lose revenue, while owners recognize even raising wages 15 to 20% doesn't solve the fundamental challenge. Workers decline positions requiring 100-mile daily commutes for wages that can't afford Miami Beach rent. Tourism operational projections show Miami Beach hotels, restaurants, and attractions reducing operations, limiting hours, and accepting service quality declines as service economy challenges make full staffing mathematically difficult. Miami Beach's service economy challenges expose how housing expenses undermine entire economic sectors, and families serving the tourism economy are departing because wages can't sustain commutes required. But Miami Beach's service economy dysfunction represents just one dimension. Our number one city faces comprehensive systemic challenges. Number 1. Miami and Miami-Dade. Miami emerged as South Florida's global city. Brickell's finance towers, Wynwood's art renaissance, design district luxury, and an international culture that promised world-class metropolitan living with no state income tax. But behind the Instagram aesthetic and global profile, the reality in late 2025 reveals a city facing deep and widespread housing challenges. A major metropolitan area where working full-time in professional careers often still means financial struggle, where teachers and nurses face severe affordability barriers, and where even six-figure earners frequently find themselves under intense financial pressure. Recent market analysis exposes Miami's substantial systemic challenges with mathematical precision. Median home prices typically require approximately $180,000 to $200,000 plus annual household income based on standard lending criteria. Yet Miami's median household income sits around $69,800. That substantial disconnect creates severe housing affordability challenges. But the crisis extends beyond affordability. Miami faces converging pressures across insurance markets, condo building challenges, service economy difficulties, and significant population movement. Picture Miami heading into 2026 with one of the most unstable insurance markets in the country. In 2025, Miami-Dade homeowners already face premiums of $11,000 to $19,000, while coastal homes are quoted $20,000 to $32,000. Luxury condos are hit hardest, with some buildings seeing $35,000 to $50,000 plus, or being denied coverage entirely. Citizens. Property insurance now carries over 1 million policies and $6 to $7 billion in reserves, yet a single major hurricane could push the system beyond anything Florida has ever faced. Condo market challenges accelerate through Miami's extensive high-rise inventory as post-Surfside regulations combine with insurance market pressures and building special assessments to create downward pressure on condo values. A Brickell tower, where units sold for $680,000 in 2022, now often struggles to sell comparable units above $495,000, losses approaching $185,000, while residents face special assessments, sometimes ranging from $50,000 to $80,000, plus for structural work and reserves, plus HOA fees jumping from $820 monthly to $2,100 plus monthly as building insurance surged dramatically. Owners trapped between declining values, substantial assessments, and tripling monthly expenses increasingly consider strategic default. Essential worker challenges expose Miami's substantial economic dysfunction most clearly. Miami depends heavily on teachers earning $54,000, nurses making $68,000, police officers at $62,000, professions requiring education and training serving critical community functions. Yet these salaries face severe difficulty affording Miami housing anywhere in the metro area. A Miami-Dade public school teacher earning $54,000 annually struggles to afford Miami studios, condos, or single-family homes. She often commutes from Homestead or West Kendall, spending roughly 17 hours weekly in traffic. Migration patterns heading into 2026 reveal a clear shift. Miami's cost structure is pushing families, professionals, and retirees out. Miami-Dade lost over 80,000 residents from 2024 to 2025, one of the steepest metropolitan population declines in state history. One couple earning $180,000 combined found their Miami condo costing $8,400 a month, compared to $3,600 for similar housing in Charlotte with only $1,800 annual insurance. They're leaving, even after accepting $90,000 plus in losses, because remaining in Miami no longer adds up. Business operational challenges follow residential departures as companies struggle to recruit or retain employees who face severe difficulty affording Miami housing. Miami businesses face talent challenges not because of salaries or opportunities, but because housing expenses have made the city economically challenging for anyone below executive compensation ranges. Miami's challenges heading into 2026 point to a housing system under real strain. The city is struggling to house its workforce, retain residents, attract new talent, and manage relentless insurance pressures. And families are leaving because nothing in the current trend suggests these conditions will ease anytime soon. In conclusion, South Florida isn't facing a normal housing correction. It's facing a structural breakdown. From Boynton Beach's crushed middle class to Delray's luxury retreat, to Deerfield and Hollywood, where beachfront insurance now costs more than mortgages, to Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach, where entire workforces are being pushed out, to Miami Beach and Miami, where even six-figure salaries can't keep up. The pattern is unmistakable. The system no longer works for the people living in it. This is what housing failure looks like when insurance hits $18,000 to $28,000 plus a year, when condos demand $30,000 to $80,000 in special assessments, when teachers commute an hour because they can't afford a studio, when servers spend 105 minutes each way just to reach a job that barely pays the bills, when entire neighborhoods watch property values fall while costs explode. Families aren't leaving because they want something new. They're leaving because staying has become financially impossible, and the pressures aren't easing. Insurance will remain high, assessments will continue, worker displacement will accelerate, businesses will struggle to keep staff, and Miami's broader economic strain will only deepen as residents and tax dollars continue to disappear. So if you're considering moving to South Florida or already living through this crisis, you deserve to understand the full reality before making life-changing decisions. Hit subscribe to uncover the cities as we track this collapse in real time. Share this video with anyone thinking of relocating to South Florida. They need this information before stepping into one of the most expensive and unstable housing markets in America. And drop your experiences in the comments. How is this crisis affecting your family, your neighborhood, your job? South Florida's housing challenges aren't predictions. They're already here. And for thousands of families, housing is no longer a foundation of stability, but a burden they can no longer afford to carry.